For a beginner, it can be a very daunting task to go to a fabric store for the first time. Hopefully, this video can make it easier. We're going to start out at JoAnne Fabrics, which is close to our high school. You will find a very large thread selection at JoAnne's. You'll find large spools that are designed for sergers and small spools for normal use. Don't forget to look for sale prices and coupons for JoAnne's because their prices are a little higher and you can get great deals. You will also find in the notions, you will find things like seam binding. Here are some examples of rickrack, which is a decorative accent, bias tape, which is designed to go around the inside of a seam, sometimes like on the inside of a jacket that's not lined. You will find wider, the double fold bias tape that's a little wider. And then lastly here we have the blanket binding, which you may see that satin edge on the edge of a blanket sometimes. Also, some other notions would be our zippers. And there is a tremendous amount of zippers available. You can find them in varying lengths and colors, but not only do you have different lengths, you have different styles. Like here, there are many zippers that are designed for a decorative accent with fabrics to be seen. Here you'll find sport zippers. Zippers are made for many different uses. You see jacket zippers, separating zippers like on a coat when it has to separate. And lastly, here I'm showing invisible zippers, which might go on the back of a dress where you don't want the zipper to really be noticeable. Now let's take a look at the patterns. You'll find a pattern book for many different manufacturers, and usually they have a little index. Over here there's a color-coded index along the right edge, as you can see, and find the category that you want to look for. So like for our bag project students, you might look under accessories, and here I'm showing a pattern in the accessory section. Note what the pattern number is. So here we have Butterick B5799, and walk over in the drawers until you find the correct manufacturer. So here's our Butterick, and we're going to go to the correct drawer, and remember it was the 57, so we know it's going to be this drawer. And then when you open it up, they're cataloged in numerical order, so just go through until you find the right number, and there we go, the 5799, and our pattern should be right behind that. Now, when you examine a pattern, you want to look at the back because it's going to tell you a lot of important information. First of all, it's going to perhaps give you different options, like here we have bag A, bag B, things like that. It's telling you how much in yardage you need for the different bags and maybe for the interfacing, for the contrast. And it also tells you notions, if you need a zipper or buttons, things like that. Also, you want to pay attention, if you have a pattern of varying sizes, note that it will say the size on the front. And usually it's a range of sizes because you will trim your pattern to the appropriate size. See, like, and the one behind it is for larger sizes. So it's a range of sizes, and you would trim your pattern to the appropriate size. Now, in the notions aisle, you're going to find a ton of things, maybe elastics and Velcro. All sorts of fasteners. It's a huge notions aisle with lots of different things. You'll find sewing essentials, pins and needles, scissors, all sorts of items, seam rippers, things like that that you may need. Things like rivets and other fasteners. A huge amount of buttons are available in many different styles, shapes, whether it's buttons with the shank or a button with the 2 or 4 holes, decorative buttons. And then, of course, you'll find lots of different either laces or other embellishments that can be sewn on. And these would be taken to the desk and cut. You could buy them by the yard. Here, this is showing some foam that you might use in upholstery, but if you are doing a bag that needs padding, you could use the very thin foam, like 1/4-inch foam. Now, in the back of the store here at JoAnne's, we're in the kind of the upholstery and the home decorating fabrics. These are often heavier fabrics that maybe you would upholster, a chair with. And again, also note when things are on sale. Like this lovely fabric could be used for a bag. It's very heavy. Note the price per yard. It's pretty pricey, but again, it is designed as a really pretty upholstery fabric. Um, as we progress upward in the store, notice that there are these red tag fabrics. These are your clearance fabrics. You can often find some really good deals on these clearance fabrics. Now, look at the end sticker on the fabric, and it's going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you the washing instructions. It's going to tell you the price. This one is a dry clean. It tells you the composition, like it says it's acetate nylon. So look for things like the washability of it. This one says wipe with a damp cloth, so you're not supposed to wash it in the washing machine, but you will wash it. Just wipe it with a damp cloth. You'll find an amazing selection of fabrics from sheers and shimmers to like these are suitings where you would perhaps make a suit out of them. So they're perhaps slightly heavier, often really nice fabrics. Here again, we'll look at the end. Notice it says dry clean only. You know, that's a very important instruction that you know before you purchase a fabric. In many cases, it's nice to pre-shrink your fabrics, especially if they're cottons and they're going to shrink a lot. Like here we have some denims. If I purchased a denim and I were going to make a garment out of it, I would wash it in my washing machine first. Now here it does say machine wash and gentle on cold because it could fade your denim, but it is nice to perhaps pre-shrink it. There's just an amazing amount of fabrics available in the fabric store for, you know, different looks, but you want to really make sure that you understand the composition. Here we're in the quilting section, which is, they have some of the same products, but note here that they have some pre-cut, really nicely patterned bundles. You get like 5 pieces for $10 there. And there's all sorts of quilting notions here in this aisle. And just a lot of decorator fabrics here in this whole quilting section. This is up near the front of the store. And here are quilting notions. Many of these you might use with sewing, but they have them in a quilting section. So if you can't find it in the notions aisle, check in the quilt notions aisle, I would say. Now, another place that you may want to look for fabrics would perhaps be in the fabric section of Walmart because that's also very close to school. It is a much, much smaller area where they sell fabrics, but they still have, you know, the same sorts of information. You're going to find the stickers on your bolts. You will find the price. You will find the composition. You will find washing instructions. The notions aisle is tiny by comparison. It's really only maybe 12 feet long. And they have, you know, a very limited selection of notions and buttons, but you can often find basic things that you need. The different fabrics are noted, you know, it's telling you there we've got cotton, here we've got apparel fabric, and what's our last one down here? We have our flannels. And here we're looking at the interfacing area where they have interfacings, or also known as stabilizers. You may have a pattern that requires a stiffer fabric, and you would use one of these interfacings or stabilizers to attach to your fabric to stiffen it. This one right here, this is a Pellon fusible interfacing. You can see there are little dots on one side, and you would iron it in place and it would adhere it to it. You can see that there are various labels here, various kinds, whether it's the iron-on or perhaps the fusible iron-on, or the stitching one, the one that you would stitch in. And they come in many different weights depending on the application that is needed. Your pattern will usually specify what you need. In this particular case, this is a very thick heavy interfacing or stabilizer, and this is a very thin one, depending on the application that is necessary. Many students use them for the bags. And underneath the stabilizers, you will find there's cotton, but underneath that, you will find this is cotton batting or polyester batting for, say, like a quilt. This is layered in many thin layers. And if you are making, again, maybe a bag for electronics like an iPad, you might want to have cushion like that. The pattern area is significantly smaller at Walmart, and they have a few books and they have a few drawers too that you can find patterns in. The books are going to be the same sort of thing where you will find, the different sections with the different types of things. Here I found another bag that might be of interest to people with the bag project, and you look in the drawer the same way that we did at JoAnne's. There are far fewer to choose from here, but they still have a nice selection of some basics. On the back of the pattern, I do want to make you aware that you have to pay attention to sizing if you're making a garment. Notice how it has extra small, small, medium, large, extra large. You will measure yourself to determine your size. So you can see it says bust, hip, waist sometimes it would be the measurements, and then depending on the specific sizes, it tells you how much fabric to use for that size, and it of course is still showing you the notions that are necessary. I don't want the guys to feel left out at all because there are many patterns available for men. They just offer more to women, basically because there are more clothing stores geared toward women too. And then here we see their thread and zipper area. It's there, it's just smaller. And here are some really nice pre-cut quilting fabric quarters, similar to at JoAnne's, except they are less expensive. They have a more limited selection, but they still have a fun selection there. And again, any of your fabrics that you need cut, you will bring it up to the little table area, and an associate will cut it for you. You can cut it in a portion of a yard, like a quarter of a yard, a half a yard, 3/4 of a yard. It doesn't have to be by a full yard. Hopefully that helps.